Welcome to the Me I Left Behind, a podcast about healing, remembering, and finding yourself again after loss. My name is Cindy, and I created this space not only to share my journey, but to help you reconnect with the parts of yourself that may feel lost. In my last episode, I talked about dreams. The ones that feel like visits, the ones that bring comfort, and the ones that bring pain. Today, I want to talk about something that crept into my life in ways I never expected. Fear. Welcome to my episode 7, Fear After Loss. I feared death even before losing my husband. The thought of being separated from my children terrified me. I never wanted to miss watching them grow, guiding them, and making sure they are safe. I feared it because I couldn't imagine not being there for them, my husband, my parents, my siblings, all the people I love. But then, death felt distant, like a far-off storm that wouldn't touch us for a long time. I never really thought it could happen until we're old. And then it did. Losing my husband made me fear of death even worse. People say death is like a thief. You never know when it will come. I never once imagined my husband would be taken so soon. After he was gone, the weight of that fear became unbearable. I remember the very first time I stepped outside alone without him. I felt it. The crashing imbalance, like the ground beneath me had disappeared. My heart pounded, my thoughts spiraled, and all I could think about was, what if something happens to me? What if I die too soon? What if I leave my children behind with no one? I was their only parent now. I was all they had left. And the worst fear I had, an image so vivid, it felt real. I was walking past a gas station and suddenly, this terrifying thought overtook me. What if a tank of gas exploded right now? What if I died right here, just like that, and never made it back home to my children? It made me weak. My whole body felt consumed by fear. My hands trembled and my breath became shallow. Tears fell from my eyes for no reason other than the sheer weight of my own thoughts. It was unbelievable how the mind could trick us, how it could create scenarios that feel so real they physically affect us. And this has been happening for the past 3 years. I pray so hard for peace. I pray to God to quiet my mind, but fear has a way of creeping in, whispering all the worst possibilities. I worried endlessly about our future, finances, their education, about whether I was strong enough to raise them alone. The weight of responsibility pressed down on me so heavily that during the early days of my husband passing, I asked my eldest sister to adopt my youngest child, just in case something happened to me. I spoke to my other sisters about my older boys, making sure they would have someone to guide them if I were no longer here. It was as if I was preparing for the worst, because after losing my husband, I had learned that anything could happen. I also remember telling my husband once that if I were to die first, I would want him to marry again. But only if he could find someone who would love him the way I did, the way I do, and our children the way I do. He didn't like hearing it. He dismissed the thought completely, refusing to even entertain the possibility. At the time, it never crossed my mind that I would lose him to death. If anything, I feared losing him to another woman, not to something so permanent, so final. I never prepared myself for the reality that I would be the one left behind. I still worry, but it's different now. It's lighter. The fear is still there, but it doesn't consume me the way it used to. With time, with faith, I learned to surrender some of that fear to God. I learned to remember my old self when I trusted God with everything. As I look back now and see how God has provided for us in many ways I never expected, and I know without a doubt that my husband is still praying for us, is still guiding us in ways I may not always see. For today's reflection, what fears has grief awakened in you, and how have you learned to face them? I hope that if you are carrying fear, it is not as intense as I had experienced. I hope that you also find strength in knowing that you are never truly alone, that even in the darkest moments, there is grace, there is love, and there is guidance, even when sometimes it is hard to recognize them. I hope you find peace in knowing that the people we lose never truly leaves us, and that life, despite its unpredictability, always finds a way to keep you moving forward. Thank you for listening, for being here, and for sharing this space with me. I'll see you again in the next episode.